I can see your screen.
Okay, okay. That means everyone can see. Okay, so let's just do a recap, like a quick recap, right? What we did, and then we will like go through the documentation again, right? Because we were not able to finish that day. So let's do a quick recap first, and then let's start. So what we learned that day, right, was we learned about first of all what is like this operating system, that is Linux, and why we are working on it extensively, right? So mostly why we use Linux is because of multiple reasons. First reason is it's like a lot secure, more secure than usually your Windows and your Mac OS, right? Second thing is Linux is the most used operating system that is usually used by data centers, your companies, your big organizations, right? Because it's very uh, less expensive to use. It's open source, so it's like kind of free to use as well, and also it's secure, a lot more secure, right? And you can do a lot of stuff that is restricted on Windows as well as on Mac OS. So that's why Linux is a lot preferred. Okay, and mostly the main thing is in Linux we have a GUI means graphical user interface, like we have in Windows, right? But most of the times in servers and big organizations we only get a black terminal, right? This one, it looks like this. We only get a black terminal, and this black terminal is something that we have to work on extensively, right? So this will be our main goal, to understand how to navigate, how to work with this black terminal, and then how to like uh, use it to our own benefit. Okay, so that is the whole purpose of this starting thing that we did. So the first thing is, whenever we want to work with this black terminal, this thing is also called a shell. Like this terminal is just opening that shell for you, like giving that access to the shell. So whatever I'm typing, I'm typing it on a shell. Okay, so this terminal is just a web UI kind of thing that is getting us to the shell. Okay, like it's connecting to us to the shell, so that we can run our commands here and get or like operate, like it get executed in the shell, so that those particular actions can be performed on that. Okay, we will come to that. So the main thing is first of all to understand what we have, how we navigate here, what are the commands that we can use to like know what we are doing, how we should do all those things. So we will be going around that. Okay, so the first thing that I told you about is, whenever you look at a shell or a terminal, right? The first thing, if you see this thing, this kind of thing, so the first thing that you see should always be a username. It is always the username that you're logged in. So, for example, if you look at the documentation, here you see it says Kali at Kali, right? So, remember one thing, this at is just a segmenter, like it segments between the host name and the username, okay? So, the first thing, whenever you see anywhere on the terminal, like you see here, this is always the username that you're logged in. So if you read the documentation, whenever you log into the terminal, right, the first thing that you will do, your username will be showing up here. So if you type a username as Kali, this will be your username, like it will show up here. This is to ensure whenever we are login, right, and we open the terminal, this tells us that okay, whatever user you're logged in is the correct user. Like I logged in as Ubuntu, so it is showing me as Ubuntu, right? In your case, if you are using Kali, maybe your username is Kali. It can be, by the way, anything, right? But in our case, like according to the doc, usually by default we get a name called Kali, a username called Kali, right? So there also you will see the username as Kali there. Okay. And the second thing is always the host name. So host name is your PC's name or the machine that you're working on. That names, right? That is the host name. So if I type host name, this is a command that will give you the host name. If I type host name, see, that is the host name. So this will give you the host name of the PC or the machine that you're working in. In your case, it can be anything. Usually, I'm using an EC2 instance on cloud, right? But usually, like you can use anywhere. Even if I open my terminal here, let me show you something, and I log into Ubuntu, right here. Okay, there is some issue with this. Okay, no worries. So whenever you log into any Ubuntu or any machine, Kali or any kind of Linux, right, doesn't matter. Everywhere you will see this kind of terminal, and everywhere the whole format will be same. First thing will be the username, second thing will be the host name. But still, if you're confused, what is my host name? You can always type host name and that will give you the host name. So host name is always the machine that you're using, and the host name is the machine's name that you have set off, or you can change it as well. But this is the host name. Okay. So first thing will always be a username. Now, if you want to know, so for example, this command will give you the host name, right? Now I want to know that am I like whatever user I'm using, because the problem is most of the terminals, most of them will show you this detail, will show you. The problem is somewhere in some cases you may or you may not see these details. In that case, if you are confused that you don't know like what is my host name, you can run the command as host name. Now, if you are confused, because obviously we are not even seeing the username, right? And we want to see the username, like who am I? What is my username, right? So the command is who am I? If you type who am I, this will give you the username. So here it says Ubuntu. Okay. So just remember, if you don't know the host name and you want to know it, just type host name. That will give you the machine's name. The machine's name is the host name. Okay. And if you don't know your username, you want to know you were like what user you're logged in with, and on the terminal it is not showing. You just type who am I, and that will give you the username. Okay. Now the main thing is, as I told you guys, that there are multiple versions of Linux and multiple flavors of Linux. Okay, so in Linux, when there is multiple versions means like, for example, in Ubuntu, you can have Ubuntu 24.1, Ubuntu 25, something like there are multiple versions, right? In Windows, we have Windows 7, 8, 9, 10, kind of like that. But they are the same, right? In Ubuntu also, you have Ubuntu 24, 25, there may be 26. Right now, it's like 25 is the latest version. So there were other versions, okay? So these are called versions. But as I said, Linux is open source. That means it is free to use and free to modify by anyone. Okay. So Linux has multiple other kind of Linux as well. Like multiple peoples have developed in different flavors. So Kali is a different flavor. Red Hat is a different flavor. Ubuntu is a different flavor. Debian is a different flavor. So this thing is called a flavor. Okay. So don't get confused. Like it's not something uh, like non-technical or something like a food product. No, but these things are called flavor. Okay, so don't get confused with it. So the thing is, whenever you're working with the Linux, you need to know first of all, because most of the times if I log in here and I don't tell you that it is a Ubuntu machine, how did you know? That's the thing, right? We know the host name now, we know the user now, but how will you work on the machine? Because the problem with Linux is base commands like we will learn for navigating, or we learned for navigating, for example the list command, the create directory command, right? Those things are same for all the Linux flavors, all of them. But the problem is some commands, for example when we are updating the Linux, right, and few other commands that are different for different Linux flavors. For example, in Ubuntu, when we try to update the machine, we type a command called sudo apt update. And this is the same for Kali as well. If you see here, you will see here, update package list. We type sudo apt update, right? But as I said, there are multiple flavors of Linux. There is Red Hat, there is Fedora, there is Amazon Linux, right? There are multiple Linuxes. So the problem is those Linux commands change a bit. So in Red Hat, in CentOS, in Fedora, the command will not be sudo apt update. The command can be sudo yum update. This will be the command. Or like they tend to change it. So either they can be DNF update. So if you see here, it won't work because this command is not for this particular flavor of Linux. So for example, if I wanted to show you, if I go here and let me just create a demo. Let me just show you like what I'm trying to talk. So if you see, there are multiple. There is Red Hat, there is SUSE, there is Debian, there is a Mac OS, right? There are multiple versions. There's Amazon Linux. So these are flavors of Linux, but these work a bit different just for some commands. For example, the update repository command, the command will be different. But most of the other commands, for example, who am I, list command, the basic navigation commands are same for every Linux. The best part is the Linux that I'm using, that is called Ubuntu, right, is totally common with Kali Linux. Like every command that works here will work on Kali Linux as well. And every command that works on Kali will work on Ubuntu as well. Okay, so everything will work here. So whatever I'm running here will work on mostly on any Linux. Like if you are using Kali, it will work there. So next thing is how to check the Linux version, because we need to know which Linux we are working with, what is the version of that. So we can use the command called uname -a. Like, give me the machine information that I'm using. So this will tell me that you are using a Linux. This is the host name. So let me tell you, this is not the IP, this is the host name. Okay, this is the host name. This is the Ubuntu that you're using, and like when it was created, when it was enabled, everything. But this information is like kind of a general information. But if you want to know more about your operating system, for example, here I don't see the version of the Linux what I'm using. So in that case, you can use a command called this one, cat etc os release. If you use this, it will specifically tell you what version of Linux you're using. So if I do enter, there you see, so it is telling me that you're using version 26.4. That is the latest version of the Linux that I'm using. LTS means this is long-term support, like a stable version, and I'm using Ubuntu that is built upon Debian. So I'm getting all the information. Okay, so the same command that you put on Kali, if you put on Kali, this that will give you all the information, like what is the version, like what is the home URL and everything, like whatever is related to that particular operating system, it will give you all the information. So now we know how to get the username. Now we know how to get the host name, the information about Linux, like what Linux we are using, right? So we know about that. So these are the like simple commands that we can use. And the next part was, because we are working on a machine, right? We tend to store things, store data, multiple kind of data. We tend to create data as well. For example, we are creating folders, we are creating files, right? That too starts taking up the memory. So now, because we know about the machine, now we still need to know, because whenever we buy a machine, right, we look at we look at like multiple things. We look at how the machine is performing, how many storage we have, right, how many RAM we have, what is the memory size, everything we look at, correct? So storage is something that is very much important for a machine. Even a phone, if you like pick a phone, right, there we always see that it has 128 gigs of storage or 256 gigs of storage, right? In iPhones and in Androids, we do that. So getting or knowing about the storage is a very crucial part into your machine, because whenever you're storing something, you always keep up in mind that the storage should be ample there. Otherwise, obviously, it will start failing and the machine might not respond. And obviously, you don't have the storage to store anything. So there will be a lot of issues. So basically, to check the storage of a machine, we do this df-h. So df will tell you the data file size. -h is for human readable. So for example, if I don't use -h and if I type enter, you see it won't be readable to you. Like you won't understand how many data is there. Like you can see 15% use, but you cannot say how many gigs of data is there. Like what is going on? There's a lot of numbers, right? So usually we use something called -h. This is for human readable form, so that like we can read it properly. So if I do enter, now we can see this is 16 GBs of memory. 2.6 gigs of memory is used, but here it was not human readable. So when we type this df-h, it will give us the human readable format of the storage. Now we see a lot of different storage file systems. So here in Linux, storage is called file systems because we have multiple types. Okay, like this in Windows we have this thing. Here we have different like segments, right? We have different drives, C, D, E, F. So these are also drives in Linux. But the thing is, the main drive that we have to look at, and that tells us how much storage you have and how much storage is left for you to store data, is this one where we see only a slash. This tells us, okay, the machine has 19 gigs of size because other thing is like being used, so total 20. But you are only using 2.6 gigs and you still have 16 gigs of storage available. That means you can still store 16 gigs of data here. So we have ample amount of storage for now, right? If you start storing movies, games and all, then obviously the data will, like the storage will go away. So that's how we check the disk space, and that is really important. Now the next thing to check in the machine is whenever, because see, we are updating things, we are downloading, we are uploading, right? There will be multiple things that we do in the machine. So now we need to know if our machine can be connected to internet or is connected to the internet. Like how are we sure that my machine is connecting to the internet or it can talk to the internet? Okay. So to check the internet connectivity, we can use something called ping. And this command can be used anywhere, by the way. It can be used in Mac OS, Windows, multiple places it can be used. So the command is ping, and then you can ping any website. So most of the times we use google.com because Google is something that is most used, right? So we can do google.com. Google.com means I want to reach to this website. So if I can reach google.com, that means my internet is working. Obviously, if I cannot reach google.com or if I cannot talk to google.com, that means my internet is not working fine because google.com is unreachable. Okay. So if I do ping google.com and enter, and if I get a reply, these are all the replies that I'm getting. If I get a reply back, that means my internet is working fine because I am able to reach google.com. Okay. And this same command can be used on Windows also. Like if you want to check if you're unable to connect to the internet and you still want to make sure that okay, my internet is working or not, you can open a terminal. You can type ping here. Here also it will work. It works on everywhere. Like ping command is something that is like global. It works everywhere, right? So the only difference here is in Linux we have to define some parameters properly. Give me a sec, guys. Okay, we have to define some parameters properly. Otherwise, it won't work as expected. For example, if I just type ping.com here, this will keep on running. You see, this will keep on running. It won't stop. But the same thing that I do in Windows here, this will stop after 4 pings. Here, this stop. Like I ran the same command. The only difference here is in Windows, they are already using the parameters. In Linux, we have to define everything. So for example, if I want to just stop at 4 pings, I can do this command. If I go back and paste, like use -c and 4, 4 means like give me just 4 requests. So there it is. After 4, it stopped. If I change it to 8, then I will only get like 8 response back. Yeah. Now it will be 8 times, like it will respond me back for 8 times. So this is just parameters that we pass to get the output that we need or that we require. Okay. And we don't want it to like run continuously. So we just give this parameter. If you don't give this parameter, it will keep on running. It will keep on running until you cancel it. So that's how we check the internet connectivity. And this package list is also very important because whenever you're logging to any Linux machine the first time, and this is only important for the first time, mostly the first time, okay? Because whenever you're logging to a machine, a new Linux machine that you have never logged in, right? And it is created like freshly created and you have never logged in, you're logging the first time or you're the first user that is logging in that case, you will always run the update registry or update repository command. Otherwise, you won't be able to install anything. So if it says that all packages are up to date, that means all is good. Otherwise, if you try to install anything, it won't let you. Even the update, like if you want to update something from the GUI, it will start giving issues. So whenever into a new machine, always run this command first, apt update. It won't harm anything, it will just update the repositories. Okay, so these were some very simple steps and very crucial steps that we use to know, first of all, on which machine we are working with. Is the machine like working fine? What is the username? Am I able to connect to the internet, right? How many storage or how much storage do I have? Because that is something that is very crucial when you start working on a machine. because you have to know your machine that you're working with, right? In Linux, there is a lot of possibilities that you can do. So you have to know everything, like whatever you're working with, you have to know that. Otherwise, it can get a bit complex for you guys to work. Okay. So remember, mainly in when you have overwhelming data, for example, in df-h, when we ran and we get a lot of storage types, right, or file systems. Always remember, we are only looking for a slash. That is the root file system. So whatever space is there, that is our like required space that we are looking for, and that tells us how many space we have or how much space we are using, that kind of information. Okay. So now let's see like why Linux matters in cybersecurity. So as I said, Linux is something that has multiple flavors, right? And Linux is something that is very secure. So when I say Linux is very much secure, I tell in various terms. So the most basic term, if I use, like everyone should be aware about that. So everyone knows about malwares and viruses, right? So like it's a very common thing. That's why we use antivirus and all. You will never see, or it will be a very rare scenario. Not never see, it will be a very rare scenario that you will see anyone using an antivirus in Linux systems. Very rare, because Linux are mostly prone to viruses. You cannot hijack a Linux system with a virus. There are malwares, that is a separate thing, but whatever problems you will get with viruses, right, or Trojan horse, those kinds of things, Linux is prone to them. So in Windows, we get a lot of virus. That's why we use antiviruses, right? In Mac OS also, we can get a virus. But in Linux, you don't get a virus. Mostly you don't get a virus. Okay, so that's why it is like the most secure kind of thing. Also, there are multiple tools that you can use for free, right? And Linux is something that does not require a lot of processing power or memory to run. Okay, so that makes an ideal system, because the whole point is, see, if an operating system is big, right? For example, in Mac OS and Windows, let's take an example of Windows. I think everyone should be using it, right? So in Windows, if you want to run a Windows 11, let's take an example of Windows 11, right? If you want to run Windows 11, you will at least need, I think, 2 cores of CPU and 4 GBs of RAM, right? And that machine is costly. And nowadays, it is like 16 gigs of RAM on 4-core CPU, and that is more costly, right? Whereas if we take consideration of Linux, Linux can, like still, it can run on 512 MB of RAM, not even 1 GB, like even half a GB of RAM. Linux can still run and perform better than Linux, Windows or Mac. So Linux is less resource heavy, right? And it can perform more better and faster than Windows or Mac OS systems. But the only problem that it is used very less is it's not that user friendly, and you have to have a little bit of experience with Linux. But once you get the experience, you will always choose Linux over Mac and Windows. It's that good of operating system. So that's why we have a lot of you can say versions, right, flavors and multiple things that Linux has to offer that these other two operating systems do not offer. And if they offer, they will charge you for that. Linux is free of cost. Second thing is, Linux has inbuilt firewalls that is very easy to use, like most security systems, right? It has a very good permission system that you can lock down files, directories to a specific set of users or groups. If required, you can do that. So Linux give you all that functionalities, right? In very less, you can say, memory utilization or very less CPU utilization. So in that particular kind of thing, like if it is giving you kind of like a valuable machine with free resource and a lot of security, and obviously it's prone to viruses. So obviously it's a good choice for cybersecurity, and it is a good choice for security analysts and like multiple security postures. It is the best operating system that every expert uses in terms of security. Okay, so mostly in real world scenarios, Linux is used for like everywhere. By the way, it is used for every professional scenario. Okay, it is used for SOC analyst, because I've already tell you Linux is like free of cost, and it gives you a lot of security features in free of cost, and it does not require a lot of resources, right? So it's an ideal choice to use in terms of security. So SOC analysts use it to analyze the logs. We will come to that, like what kind of log are we looking at? Okay, so analysts look at like use these machines because this is less resource heavy and they can do the job very easily. They can log things, they can give you the data in a very easy format that we will be exploring. Second thing, it is used by cloud engineers. So who are cloud engineers? So cloud engineers are like Linux administrators, but they handle the workload not on on-prem, but on the cloud. So if you are working on cloud and if you are creating resources, handling them, right, managing them, those like you will be a cloud engineer. Okay. And then there are threat hunters. Threat hunters means like they look for vulnerabilities, they look for exploits, right? So like anything that they can hack into or those kinds of things. So that too, like these are the peoples also, they use Linux for that. And the red team operated. Red team is kind of hackers only. So there are three kinds of teams, by the way. When it comes to security, there are three teams. There is a red team, there is a gray team, and there is a blue team. So red team means hackers, the person that wants to attack to your machine and get into your machine. So they are red team. Gray, usually it's a blue team, but like gray is something that is very rare kind of thing. Gray means someone who is not on any side. Like they can be a defender, they can be an attacker. It's on them. It's their choice. If they want, they can be attacker, they can be defender. But that's really rare. Like there's not much people like that. Blue team will be kind of you guys. Like once you are done with this course, you will be into the blue team. Okay, so blue team are the defenders, like who defend against these attacks, whatever attacks happen on the organization, on the data house, or whatever you are handling, right, on your environment. So you should be the one that should be responsible in securing that particular environment, and that is called blue teaming. Okay, so mostly it is used by every organization, every you can say professional in the industry, right? Because it is free of cost, it gives you a lot of security suites, right? And it's kind of very much secure and requires very less resource to run on. So that's why it is very much used for running your workloads as well as your security analysis. So as I was talking about like Linux distributions, right? When we talk about Linux distributions, distributions are called flavors, by the way. Distributions means there are multiple versions of a single Linux or multiple, you can say different Linux. Okay. And these are called flavors. So in Linux, we have like, we just see some famous ones, but it's not like there's only this much. There are hundreds of Linux versions, by the way, hundreds of them, maybe thousands also. But these are the most famous ones, you can say. So for example, we have Ubuntu that I'm using right now. Okay, it's the most used Linux on the planet, kind of Ubuntu. Then you have Kali Linux. Kali Linux is also the most used, but mainly for security analysts and security purposes. Okay, mostly for hackers and defenders, both of them. But the problem with Kali Linux is it is mainly built around for pen testing, penetration testing, like you are testing the machine for exploits, vulnerabilities, you want to hack into it, right? So mostly for red teaming jobs, Kali Linux is used. And always remember, Kali Linux is not a go-to operating system for the organizations. They do not use. This is just for you to learn cybersecurity and get used to it, because Kali Linux will provide you all the tools that is required for you guys to understand cybersecurity. Okay, so Kali Linux is not used for general purpose. It is only used by security analysts and security experts. That's it. Okay, so most of the times in organizational scenarios, you'll be using either Ubuntu, either Red Hat, Fedora, CentOS, Debian, right? Those kinds of things. So Debian is also a flavor, right? On this Debian flavor, Kali and Ubuntu are built upon this Debian flavor. Okay, so Debian is a flavor and Kali and Ubuntu are built upon that. So they use Debian as a base and they built Kali and Ubuntu upon that. Okay, so that's why they are similar. They are, it's like Debian is the parent and Kali and Ubuntu are the twin brothers, you can say. Then there is Fedora, RHEL, and CentOS. Always remember Red Hat. You will hear this word very oftenly in mostly in government, you can say jobs, right? Or like very rare in private, but mostly in government, you can say organizations. You will hear the term Red Hat Linux. Red Hat Linux is called enterprise Linux. No other Linux is called enterprise Linux. It's only the Red Hat Linux that is not free of cost. Like it is free of cost until and unless you take the support. So that is the only Linux that offers you a support on a very enterprise level. That's why they have a subscription, and it is the only Linux that will charge you for a subscription. Otherwise, most of the Linux are free of cost. But Red Hat is called an enterprise Linux, and whenever you're working with government agencies, they prefer using Red Hat because it's the most secure, you can say, and it is built for corporate environments, and they give you proper support upon that as well. Because of free of cost, obviously you cannot hire support, and you'll have to charge for that, or you'll have to pay for that. So that's why other Linux will not provide you support, but Red Hat Linux is an enterprise grade Linux. So they will provide you proper support, 24/7 support, if you pay for that. Otherwise, like it will be free of cost, but you won't get most of it. And you have to be very, very, you can say, good with Linux to use this one, because this is not really easy. It has a lot of security features inbuilt. Like it won't even let you do small things. Whatever you can do like very freely in Ubuntu or Kali, it won't let you do. So there are multiple, you can say, security features and security steps that is involved to use this. Okay. And then you have Parrot OS. Parrot OS is similar to Kali Linux. Similar. Parrot OS is also something that is used for cybersecurity. So if you are mostly if you're running on low spec machines, right, you can use Parrot OS. For example, Kali Linux requires some high end specifications, but if you see that, okay, I'm not able to run Kali Linux, you can go for Parrot OS. Parrot OS also gives you everything and it will run smooth on your machines. So you can go for it. Now this Linux directory. This is very much important to understand. For example, when you go to Windows, right, you know that in C drive, you will see all your system files, right? And within the system files, you have everything that you have installed. For example, your operating system files are there, your packages, whatever you install is there, right? Whatever games or whatever you install, mostly by default, it gets installed in the C drive. So this particular system, this particular directory structure will tell you everything about Linux, like how Linux stores things, because it is very different than your Windows and your Mac OS. But most of the times, Mac OS is kind of similar to Linux. So if you can work on Linux, you can always work on Mac OS also in the terminal. Like Mac OS provides you a terminal. So Mac OS terminals also works with these some of these Linux commands. So they will work. So you can use them. But here we are learning about Linux directory. Like Linux stores things, but where? You want to know, like what is stored in Linux by default, where? By default, I'm telling why by default, okay? You can always change the directory. For example, when you install anything in Windows or Mac, you can always change the path where you want to install. But we are talking about default path right now. Like if you don't choose anything, just do next, 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 next. So this will be the path there, the systems and the software and the logs and whatever there is, right? It will go. So let's start with slash. So slash is the root of the entire file system. So whenever I say the word file system means the hard drive. It's like the C drive of, uh, you can say C drive of Linux systems. So it holds everything, whatever the machine has. Everything is stored here. Everything. All the users, all the groups, all the data, everything is stored in the slash directory. Okay. So for example, if you see here, I have this Ubuntu user, right? And this host name and everything is showing up. But if I do ls, like this is the list command, I don't have anything, right? But if I do cd slash, and if I do ls, so here I have everything that I have in the Linux machine. Like apart from this, there is nothing. And this particular user thing, everything is residing under this thing, like this slash path. So slash path is the root of the entire file system. So whatever your machine holds, right, whatever it holds, it will be under this slash command. This slash, sorry, directory, not command, this slash directory. So everything begins here. Analyst must understand absolute paths. We will get to what an absolute path is, but just understand slash is something where everything begins here or everything stays there. Nothing is outside slash. Everything is inside slash. So it's the entire file system. Okay, your hard drive is the slash. Now we have slash home. So what is home? Home is your home directory. So when I said that whenever you're logging as a user, right, in Linux, we have home directories for different users. So why do we have a home directory? So home directory is like a virtual space where the particular user within his own home directory can do anything without any permission. Like it does not require any permission to do anything there until and unless that is a global command. So global command means something like a command that can alter your machine's, you can say, data on the global level. Like the whole machine can be affected by that particular command. That is called a global command, right? So until and unless you're running that, you can run any other command. Like that command you cannot run, but any other command you can run. For example, creating a directory, creating a folder, navigating to that folder. You can do those things within the particular home folder. But if you go outside the home folder, for example, I want to go to a different user's home folder, then I cannot do anything because Linux works in an isolated environment. As I said, Linux has multiple features inbuilt or security features inbuilt, right? So one more feature is kind of, it's like directly like home isolations or directory or user isolations. So user isolation means until and unless your user is specified that particular permission to alter something created by a different user, right? Your user cannot do anything. For example, in Linux, if I'm a user and you guys are a user, right? You guys are creating something, I'm creating something, okay? And if I want to change your directory's data, so until and unless I have the permission, I cannot change or alter anything into your into your home directory. And that is vice versa. You cannot also come into my home directory and alter something. Still, we are in the same machine, right? We have the same machine. The user also exists in the same machine, but still we cannot do anything. So Linux is very sensitive when it comes to permission, right? If you have specific permission or correct permission, only then you can alter data. But anything else that is within your home directory, you can do anything. Doesn't matter. It will work because you're inside the home directory or your virtual space. So home is where the user exists or the user directory exists. So here user is also a directory. For example, you see the home directory here. If I go, for example, if you remember, ls command is used to list, right? So whatever, like where on whatever path I am, I want to see what files are there. For example, I go here, I want to see what files are there. I can see, like in the C drive, I have these many files. In Linux, we only have a black terminal. How do we see what files are, like what files do we have or what files I want to look for? You do ls, that is list command. I will list the directories or the files or whatever there is. Now I want to see my home directory, right? Like what is inside my home directory. So if I go to home, and you will see if I do ls, there will be only Ubuntu directory. Like there is only one directory. By the way, directories are folders. As I said, directories are folders, okay? So I can see I have a Ubuntu directory. So what is this Ubuntu directory? Ubuntu is my users directory. So if you remember, my user is called Ubuntu, right? In home folder, what do we store? We store user directories. So for example, if I create a user now, right? If I do user add, and for example, I create a test user, enter. Okay, I cannot create because it's a global command. So let me use the sudo. Let me create a user for now. Enter. So again, if I do ls, you will see I cannot see. I just see Ubuntu. I don't see anything. But let me do sudo. I still see this thing. I am not able to see the test directory. It is because, as I said, Ubuntu or any Linux, right? They have security features inbuilt. You cannot access anyone's directory until you have the permission. So Ubuntu user right now, right, only has the permission to see its own directory. it cannot see any other directory. For example, by default in every root, every Linux, we have a root user, and root user is kind of the admin or the god of Linux. It can do anything within the Linux, anything. You cannot stop it. It has full permission, right? So if I want to look at the root directory, if I go to cd root, I cannot go. But that doesn't mean I don't have a root directory. I have, but I cannot go because I don't have the particular permission to do that. Okay, so remember, home directory is something that holds the user's data or user's directories, right? And one user cannot handle or cannot, you can say, work on any others, any other user's data. They cannot see right away until and unless they have the permission. I will show you that permission thing, but until and unless you have the permission, you cannot see that. For example, I log in as a root user now. If I do sudo and like switch user, and I go to root. Now you see this is root. Let me. I think it should be visible now. So this is root user, right? I'm root user now. And if I do ls now, you see I can see Ubuntu user, but I'm not seeing the root user directly because if I do sudo slash cd slash sorry, I got it. Because root directory is not within the home directory, it is outside. So it should be here. There it is. So root is the only admin that does not exist here. Like it does not exist in the home directory because it is the admin. So home directory is only for normal users. So whatever user you create, for example, I do sudo and test user that I created and do enter. You see what happened? There is one issue. What I did is I created a user, but there is no password, nothing. I did not do anything with this test user. So I'll show you that. Like that is a bit advanced concept. We'll come to that in the next session. But what happens is whenever you log in as a user, right, it always creates a home directory for that particular user also. But there are certain, you can say, it's not like you just create a user and the home directory gets created. But there are certain criteria that you will have to fulfill for that particular user so that the user can create it. Okay, I will discuss about that, but just understand, just creating a user in Linux, like Linux is so secure that just creating a user, for example, I'm a hacker and I created a user, that doesn't mean I hacked the machine because I still don't have proper permissions and Linux will not let me have it like that easily. It will not have me, it will not let me have it that easily. So even if as a hacker, I create a user, I still won't get a home directory for my user. But if I go the usual way where I have permission, where I'm following all the steps, then only my home directory will get created. Otherwise, it will not get, right? So just creating a user will not create the home directory. But all the users that will be created genuinely by following the proper process, right, of creating a user, their root directories or their home directories or the directories will get created into the home folder. Okay, root is the only user that does not exist within the home directory. It exists outside of the home directory. Okay, so then we have etc. etc is like your C drive, not the C drive, like your program files. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this program files. So program files is something where all the package configurations get stored into your Windows. So whatever you install, whatever is installed on the PC. Yep, Leo.
So you mentioned about um, other users in the Ubuntu platform not being able to access any other users directory or files, and the root user exists outside of the home, which means it's the main user. Does that mean that the root user has the possibility to access the other users' files?
Yes. Root user in Linux is a God user. Like it's called a God user. It's referred as a God user, right? So why does it refer as a God user? Because it can access everything. Like nothing is, you can say, blocked for this user. It has full permission to everything. That's why what we do is in corporate environments or in industries and like big corporations, right, you will never get a root user until unless you have that specific, you can say, requirement. but you will never get the root user. And anyone accessing the root user is something that is very suspicious, because usually we don't need a root user access to do things, because we have solutions and other things to manage. Hope
Yes,
that
sir.
answers your question, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because that is something that we don't want anyone to get, right? It's like a God mode. I can do anything with the machine. So this etc is where all the packages. So for example, whatever you install, whatever you can say programs or whatever packages you install into your machine, right? The configuration of that package. For example, if I go here and if I see my program files, like here I can see I have multiple things installed. I have Git installed, I have Google Chrome installed, right? I have Notepad installed. So what is like when we install something, what happens there? So there it goes and like creates the configuration files. So if you want to change anything within this particular package, you will always go and look at the configuration of that particular file and change it. Okay. So here in its etc file, we have the system configuration. So anything you install by default, okay, again, I'm saying by default, anything you install on your machine will get configured on this particular path. That is etc/etc. So if I go here, let me go back again. Again, let me use as like, let's just use it as a word to user. So if I go back on the slash directory, if I do ls in etc, we have a etc folder, right? If I go to etc, sorry, ls, yeah. So everything that we have or we have installed, right? Everything will be like all the configuration file of those particular packages will be coming up here for everything. I'll show you a demo as well. So for example, we have a web server. Okay, web server is where like we use it to host our web applications or our websites. Okay, we use something called a web server. So for example, I install a package just for the demo. I'm installing it. Okay, so that I can show you various things. So I install. So sudo apt install. So this is the command that we use to install any package in Linux, and the package name is called Apache 2. This is a web server or Nginx or any kind of like thing you can install. So for now, I'm installing a web server that is called Apache. So I'm installing it to show you like the configuration thing. Okay, it seems like it is installed. Now if I do ls and I should like I'm looking for the folder, I should do cd and the name was Apache. So if I do, there it is. See, I have the Apache here. So where am I? If I do pwd, this will show me the absolute path. If you remember, I talked about the absolute path right here. Analyst must understand absolute path. Okay. And this slash, this home, these are all absolute path. Absolute path means you exactly know where you want to look up for a file or a folder. That is the absolute path. For example, I want to go to this Apache folder. What is the absolute path? Like, how will I reach here? When I do pwd, this will give me the absolute path. And this is the absolute path. That means if I do cd and I type this path now, that is /etc and Apache 2 and enter. Again, see, I'm at the correct path. So this thing is called an absolute path. Okay, so if I get to the absolute path of that particular package and I do ls now, there I will see the configuration files. So whatever I need to change in this Apache, like I need to modify something, maybe the port, I need to change the port, I need to change something else, right? Whatever I need to do, I will find the configuration path here. So this is a system-wide configuration path. System-wide means if I want to check my user, if I want to check my if I want to check my password, like how many passwords we have, what kind of password we have, how many hosts we have, everything, anything that we want to check or any configuration change we want to do. For example, we installed a package, we want to change something. So you will always go to the /etc path. There you will find the configurations. The only problem here is because this is a system-wide configuration. Always remember, whenever I'm talking about system-wide, right? That means that will require root privileges or certain permissions for you to change or alter this file or modify this file. Otherwise, it won't let you. For example, I come here and I try to change something, right? Just for example, I need to alter the file. If I do Apache, enter there, you will see if I save it until, sorry, I do the change first of all. Let me do something. I save it. It won't. It's. Let me close it and open it again because you won't be able to see. Because the terminal is having some issue. One second. Okay. So yeah, let's start with the clear terminal. If I go again there, etc Apache and ls, right? If I check the path, like if I open it, so ls-lh will give you the username, like you can change it. So if I do nano and Apache, so nano is like this thing, the notepad of Linux, right? If you see when I open this file, right, to edit, it says this particular file is unwritable. I cannot do, as this user, as a Ubuntu user, I cannot write this file or I cannot update anything in this file. I can read it. It is readable, but it is not modifiable. I cannot modify anything. Even if I want to, I cannot do that because I don't have the proper permission. It is because, see, this particular files in etc, right? It requires global permission or root permissions to edit. Or like if your user wants to edit something, I will have to give it a permission, either using the root or a user that can give the permission. So only most of the times only root user can do the changes here. A normal user cannot do that unless they have the permission to edit. Okay. Then we have something called var log. This is where all the system-wide logs are stored. So what do I mean by system-wide logs? System-wide log means anything that I do here, anything that I do here, right, will be logged. For example, this Apache thing, right? I said like this is the web server, right? So if I go here, let me go here, and if I open this page, okay, nothing is opening. I'll get back to that. So if I go cd var and log, enter ls, and here I can see there is multiple logs are there, right? So right now I installed Apache here. You can see Apache 2 here, right? If I go under this thing, and we can see error log, access log, everything, right? For example, I open this access log. Okay. So if I do tail-f logs. So I don't see anything. See, it's not running. It's just stuck there. Why? Because if I go here and if I check, I can see the page, right? But earlier, if you remember, there was nothing coming up. And now when I access this page, you see this thing started coming up. So anything that I need to log or I want it logged, right? If I cancel this and if I open it again, I can see the data here. Anything that I do will be logged here. So if I, for example, I want to see what like who is accessing my website or what that particular user is accessing, right? So here, first of all, you will see my IP address. This is my IP address. This is the page that I'm trying to use. So if you remember, this is what I opened here, 34224, and this is the same thing. One second, bring it down. There it is. This is the particular thing that I'm accessing. Same path. So it logs everything. So whatever I do or whatever the user do, it gets logged. Okay, and this is very important because anything that the user does, and this is very important in terms of security. So security analyst, securities like SOC specialist. Yep. Yes, Sandy.
Yeah, Singh, thank you very much. A couple of classes behind, I was telling them how logs function, how the system
Mm-hmm.
log, authentication log, how they function.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you guys need to pay attention with, because
Okay.
for most servers and for most terminal systems that you'll be operating, all the events they come in form of logs. So if it might be your duty to look at those logs and take note of them. You see, like whenever he signs into or try to access a particular resource, that resource is logged on the terminal, is logged on the var/log file in a way that it gives the IP address, it gives the date, it gives the user, it gives
everything.
It gives everything. Even it gives the version of the browser that you're using. You see, Mozilla Firefox 5.0. So it tells you this is what you guys have to take note. This is how you get into cybersecurity. This is actually you trying to do your job. You're looking how you can watch your resources, watch which IP address is being is requesting resources from your server. So you guys just pay note. Yeah. So
let me show you a demo also. If you guys like anyone tries to access this website, I am just sharing you the link. Anyone open that? Anyone open that? See what will happen on the terminal. Just open anyone. You will see live update on this terminal.
Yeah. So you guys try to open. You see how the terminal is going to
immediately update. There it is. Someone added. Someone accessed you. There it is.
So you see, right?
This is the IP. Again, one more guy there. This is different one.
So this is a practical view of how logs function. You understand? So the Excel sheet that I did with you guys was I just extracted basic information, but this is a detailed log information that the system will give to you. They'll give you the request IP. It gives you the date, the time, the exact date and time. They'll give you even the GET request. They'll give you the HTTP. They give you even the web server.
Everything.
So it even goes sometimes. It even give you a Macintosh. It tells what kind of PC
this is
you
a
are
Mac
using.
Machine. Yeah,
it's a Mac machine. So you understand this is how system logs function. This is how val log. It contains everything, the system and the auth log. So you guys have to take note and see how he's doing this thing so that you know that those are very, very important parts that you see later in the course. Again, you realize that you come across this same log, this same val status log where you want to access system files or look at a CloudTrail or CloudWatch. You start seeing these same things again. So you guys should just know and don't be frightened or don't be scared. It's not something that's so difficult to understand.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So like that's how you know, right? So this log is very important. Yes, Sandy. Okay. So this log thing is very important, right? And we will be coming into that. So whatever you install or whatever log you want to like query, for example, I want to check like who is logged into my machine. Okay. So if I go here and if I go a step back, you will see that there are multiple logs. For example, you have auth log. So auth log is like by default, when I installed Apache, it created a folder. Why it did create a folder is because it needs to segregate different packages and different logs of those packages, right? And whatever is outside, like outside within this directory, var and log directory, whatever is outside is all system logs. So whatever is happening on your system will be logged here. For example, whatever is happening, my auth log. Auth log will tell you what is happening, whoever is running something, like is someone having a wrong password, whatever I put, right? It will log everything. So for example, if I want to check, so I do auth, maybe just use tail -f auth log. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So here it is telling me session opened for Ubuntu user because obviously I'm the user, right? I'm using it. And it says that again, new session opened and this and that, right? Let me show you something. So for example, and also it is showing that this is the user that is accessing. You see, in authentication log, I am using this user. So if you see this thing, cloud user, and if I show you here, this is my username, you see, cloud user. And this is my IAM user. So it is logging that this particular user logged in from this machine, like this is the IP, with this Ubuntu session. So it logs everything. And if you are someone that is working on cybersecurity and that knows how to read the logs, this particular log is very important because now I can see that someone logged in as this user. Like obviously I didn't use a password, right? So it says that this particular user is used to log in with this IP, right? And as a Ubuntu session, as a Ubuntu user, and a session is opened by that Ubuntu user, and then I'm using that session, or they are using that session. So it shows you everything. We will get into detail in future also, but this is where the logs are really important. and you can use these logs to understand what is going on with the machine, who logged in, when they logged in, right? Multiple things, like whatever is the issue. So if I go again, if I show you the syslog will give you the system logs. And like this, you will see everything. So activity is like all good. There's nothing to worry about. Everything is running fine here. So if you can read the logs, you should be like very much kind of a security analyst. Now we have something called TMP. TMP is just temporary folder. Temporary means it's like a sandbox. You can unload anything there. If you want to keep something temporarily, you can put it into the TMP folder. So it's like kind of a recycle bin. You put it there. If you don't want it, remove it. Okay. Root/root. If you remember the /root, this is the root directory of the root user. In Linux, every user has its own root directory. So for root user, it is the /root that I already showed you, that we have a root directory. And remember, /root can only be accessed by the root user. No other user can access it. And I think I already told you the reason, right? It's a God user. You don't want to access its own directory. Then you have something called user bin or /bin. Bin is a folder where we put all the executable commands. Commands means whatever I'm running right now, whatever I'm running, like ls command, cd command, any command that I'm running, right? That exists in the bin folder. If you don't have a command in the bin folder, that command will never work on your terminal. So if I go to cd/user/bin and I have to do ls, there you will see a lot of commands. So whatever you see here, all these are commands. So if I see the particular command here, that means I can run the particular command on the terminal, and the terminal will accept that command. Otherwise, the command will not work here. So whatever command I ran, like cd, ping, ls, right? All those commands exist here. If they are not here, I cannot use it. Okay, you see ls command is here. Just like that, you will have ping command, you will have cd command. So you will have all kinds of command here. If that is not here, you can't run. Cat command is here to read the files. Okay, so just remember, this is where the executable commands are existing. Yes, Stanley?
I just want to add that you guys should take note that you look at your bin, look at the bin part, look at your bin part like a dictionary, like you are searching for words in a dictionary. So if there's no match, it's not going to. It means that that word does not exist. So when he's talking, I just want to bring that analogy so that you guys can understand further. That look at the bin, look at your bin part as a dictionary. So it is a dictionary of command that if your Linux command is not within that folder or within that part, that command will not work. So look at it as a dictionary that you are looking for a word in the dictionary. So just have that at the back of your mind so that you can remember moving forward. So that's it. Thank you.
So it's like, so it's like if you are running a command, for example, you are following something on the internet, you are trying to run those commands, and for some reason a particular command is not working, right? It says command not found for particular reason. So usually you can go under the bin folder and you can look up for that command. If you see that particular command there, then it should work. That means there's some issue with the command itself, right? That should work. But most of the times, if that does not exist here, right, that means the command will never run. So it means that maybe you don't have the package. You might want to go and install the package, and that will install the command here. Okay. So as Stanley said, it's like a dictionary, right? So if you don't see anything here, it won't run on your machine itself. So you'll always have to make sure whatever you're trying to run should, first of all, it should exist under the user bin. If it does not exist with proper permissions, it won't run. Okay, and then you have proc. Proc means where you have it's like a virtual file system. You have all the processes. Okay, processes means whatever is running on the machine. Whatever is running on the machine. For example, I see the task manager, right? If I go here, I see what all tasks are running on my machine. Like if I'm running Chrome, it is showing up here. If I'm running any other software, it will come up here. So these are my processes, okay? And that is what the proc is in the Linux. So, yeah, in the Linux here. Let me bring it here. Yeah, in the Linux. So whatever I'm running on my Linux should come up here. For example, if I do ps, these are all my process. So only bash is running right now, so it's showing bash. If I do ps-a, that will show me all the process. Yeah, right now there's nothing, like even that is gone. So usually the thing is, this is where the processes remain, like every information of that particular machine remains. For example, where have you seen this particular command? Let me show you. So if I go up, and if you remember that we use this command to check the version, usually in proc, one second, I think there was a command, cd/proc/processes. Cat of CLI, let me /proc. There are a lot of possibilities. No, it's just to end. Oh yeah, there it is. So usually what happens is in proc, you will see all the virtual processes. So what do I mean by virtual processes? Okay. Whatever is running in your background on the machine, right? Whatever, like, for example, packages, features is running in this background, in this proc. Okay. Those things, that means like those things are running on the machine right now. Like those features are usable. If I close something, for example, if I go to my task manager and close something, that means I will have to reopen it for the proc or the process to create. For example, if I remove Teams, this whole meeting will go down. So right now, this Teams is running in under my process. So usually this is a virtual file system that holds all the process. And why it is called a virtual means once the process is closed, that particular thing will go away from here as well. So it's just kind of a, like a process, particular like a virtual file system where we store process information. Like if we have something called a top command as well, I think yeah, top command. What's there? Oh my god. Here. Yeah. Yeah. These are all the processes. We have migration, we have this, we have CPU. So this top command will also tell you like what is going on right now running into your machine. For example, you see a lot of memory usage is there, right? Your memory is getting utilized. Your CPU is showing like high usage. So what is using? You will see it here. So if you see CPU, memory, right now it's not using anything. Like I don't have anything that is very much utilizing my CPU. So it's not showing up. Otherwise, like whatever I want to see, whatever is taking my CPU, there it is. 0.4 MB of memory, that is the system D. System D is my own operating system because obviously the operating system also requires memory and CPU to run. So right now I'm not running anything with a heavy workload. So it won't show up. Now, as I said, we already talked about the shell. Shell means this black thing that you're seeing is called terminal, okay? And whatever command I'm running and executing is running on a shell. This thing is a shell, like where I run. So it is something that is non-seeable, like you cannot see it. But to interact with it, you will need something called a terminal. This is called a terminal. But whatever I'm running on the terminal is getting executed on the shell. And in Ubuntu or in Linux, usually we have a bash shell. It is called bash, born again shell. In earlier Linux versions, we only have shell, sh. And in today's Linux, we have something called bash. Like this is called a bash. So that's why we have bash scripts. Like we can use automation scripts, or we can write scripts to automate certain tasks on your Linux machines. So this is called a bash. Okay. So whatever I'm running on this terminal, this black window is called a terminal. Whatever I'm running here and then executing, right? That thing is getting executed on the shell itself. And the shell is kind of a background layer that interacts your software with the hardware. So whatever command I'm giving on the terminal, that shell takes that information to the hardware in the backend, and then it performs those operations. So it's like working as a mediator between your software and the hardware. Then you have directory. So remember this thing, directory is your folders. So whatever you create as a folder is directory here, right? Process, I've already shown you. Whatever is running in the background is called a process, okay? Log files, whatever files you have for logs is called a log file, right? So for example, Apache that I was showing you, that was a log file, apache.log, right? Syslog, your auth log, these are all log files. Root as I already said, root means admin, like system, with anything with that, like with system permission. So root can be a folder, root can be a user. Okay. So root folder means the root users folder is called root folder, and root user is kind of a super admin. Super admin means it is a super user. It can do anything. That is called root here. Permissions means usually what happens is, for example, I want to do anything, right? If I do ls, sorry, not here. Let me go back. Let me go to the folder. Let me do ls here. Sorry, ls-lh. So if you see, these are called permissions here. This is all permissions. Permission means what is it showing us here? It is telling me what my user can do, what it cannot do, right? Which user has the permission for this particular folder or file. So for example, if you see root here, that means only root user can edit or do anything with this file. My user cannot do. So if I am seeing an Ubuntu user here, that means only Ubuntu user can do. For example, if I go to the home directory and Ubuntu, and I create a folder, maybe mkdir. Mkdir is to like make a directory. If I create a folder called test, and if I do ls-lh, this is to like show me all the information with the permission. If you see here, most of the files are Ubuntu. That means Ubuntu user has total control on these files. It can do anything with these files. But here it is root that can operate. Ubuntu user has no authority upon these files. It cannot update. It cannot even work with them. It can just see them, but it cannot do anything with them. So it's like that kind of security. And this is called permission. So permission tells you, first of all, it tells you multiple things. First of all, it will tell you if you see a D. D means it's a directory what you're looking at. It's a folder. Hyphen means it's a file that you're looking at. So it's not something that you can store something, like you cannot create and store something inside it because it's a file, right? It can be a txt file, it can be a pdf file. You can store data inside it, but it's not like you can store multiple files inside that, because usually it's a folder where we store files and other things, right? So anything with a D is called a directory or a folder in simple terms, right? Anything where there is a dash, it's a file. Okay. And RW means read write. So that means this particular user has read write permission, read write and execute permission on this particular folder. So it can do anything. If you see read only permission, if you see here, it says root user has read write execute permission. This is the group. So group only has read and execute permission. It can run the script. If it is a script, it can run, but it cannot write. And RX is for others. Others means others cannot do anything. They can only read or execute the file. Others means us. Now Ubuntu is a other for the root user. So I cannot do anything. I can just read the file and execute the file. So this is called a permission here. Okay, and this permission defines what you can do or what you cannot. Now let's get back to the proper common you can say commands that you will use on daily basis and that we will require, okay, on day-to-day basis. So like to navigate on this Linux machines. Okay, so usually what happens is I have already showed you the pwd. Pwd will give you the current working directory or present working directory. Pwd means present working directory. For example, I'm into Linux, right? And I'm here, like I'm here on the blank screen. Now I want to know the absolute path, like where am I, like on what path do I have, like I don't know. This is a black terminal. I don't see a GUI where I can like see where like right now in which folder I am, what is the path, what is my absolute path. I don't know. I'm just lost in the machine. So I can just do pwd, that is present working directory. Like tell me the present working directory, where am I? If I do enter, it will tell me right now where you stand. And if I do ls, that means list out. So you are in the present working directory. Now ls means I want to list what is inside this directory where I'm standing right now. What is inside that? So I just created a test folder. So it says within this present working directory where you stand right now, you have a folder. How do I know it is a folder? You can run a command called ls-lah. So ls means list out and lah means list everything, all, list all, right? H means in a human friendly manner. If I don't do LAH, I'll show you the difference, okay? If I do LS and LA, there it is. You are seeing it in this manner. right? 4096 and like in this particular manner, you're seeing it. But if I do LAH, you will see it in a human friendly manner. Right now, this data is in bytes. Here you are seeing it in kilobytes. That means if the data was in gigabytes or GB, right, it will show 4.0 gigs or G. If it is in megabytes, it will show you M. So this is kind of a human readable format. Okay. And here the data is not in the human readable format because it is in bytes. You will have to calculate. You have to be technical. You have to know your stuff to like know what or how many storages there's or what is the size of that particular folder or whatnot, right? You can see it like this. So here, wherever you see the D, again I say wherever you see the D, right, that means it is a directory or a folder. Okay, so this test is a folder. Okay, and wherever you see this .ssh in Linux, whenever you put a dot in front of any file or a folder, it becomes a hidden folder. I hope you guys know what a hidden folder is. Like it's a folder until you show up, it won't show up. Let me show you a demo in Windows, right? For example, I create a folder. Let me, where do I create? Let me create it on the desktop. Yeah, let's do it here. Okay, I create a folder. This is the new folder. It's okay. I just put it here, and I make it a hidden folder now. And I go to show more properties, and you see hidden here, and there it is. Now what happened? You see that folder is gone. So that folder is not technically gone. It's still here, but you cannot see it anymore. So hidden folders are used to hide the data from the user. So it will be in your site, but you cannot see it. Now, if I want to see it, I have to use a specific, like I have to specify that I want to see the hidden folder. How do you do that? You go here in Windows, right? You go here, you go to the view, show, and you will see hidden items. If I enable this, you will see that there it is. You see the new folder there? It's blurred out. There it is. It's blurred out, but it's a folder. Everything is there, but I cannot see because it is a hidden folder. Same thing in Linux, right? When you do the ls command, you won't see the hidden folder, but the folder will be there. Same as these folders. You see, if I just do ls, I just see one folder. But if I do ls-lah, this like list all command, I will see all the folders, and all these folders have a dot in front of it. So for example, I create one more folder called mkdir. This is the command to create the directory. Okay, mkdir means make a directory. Okay, and I give it a name, for example, abc with a dot in front, and enter. Now if I do ls, I will not see the abc folder. I will not see it because it's hidden. Now if I do ls-lah, now I see .abc. There it is. It is act like a normal folder. This folder, like this Windows folder that you're not seeing right now because I've stopped showing it, right? If I go there, this is still a folder. I can go inside it. I can store anything, by the way. I can store anything in this folder. It will still act like a folder. The only problem is it will not be seen by the user until and unless you specify that I want to see the hidden folder. Same thing is with the Linux. You will have to specify ls-lah is that particular command. That means show me everything, even the hidden folders included, everything. LH means list all. Okay, so that is the command that you use to list all. But usually most of the times you just do ls, and ls will show you the directories that you have commonly created. Okay, then you have like ls-la, same thing, ls-lah. You can use the same command to look at like multiple things inside the folder as well. For example, this var log, right? If I do ls-lah and I put the absolute path for log folder, that is /var and /log. If I do this and if I do enter, so what is happening here is, without me navigating to the folder, like without me going into the folder and then listing it, I can list it from outside as well. I don't need to go inside the folder every time. I can just run this command and it will list out everything without me navigating to the folder and then listing it. I hope this is clear. Like I don't need to go inside the folder and then run the list command. I can run this command and put the path, and this will list out everything within that particular path. without me navigating to the folder and then opening it. Okay, so that's how you can like list everything without navigating inside the folder. I can see auth log, I can see syslog, I can see my Apache folder, right? Everything. I don't need to go there, and I'm still at my home directory. If I do pwd, see, I'm still at my home directory. I didn't go to the var log. Okay, so this command can list out everything without you going there. So this is the same command. If you want to look for etc, you can do for any folder, doesn't matter. You can do for any folder. Now, this is what we are doing every now and then. We have seen the pwd command, we have seen the list command, we have seen the cd command. Cd command means change directory. But there are a few more things in the cd command I'll show you. And we have seen this mkdir, that is the make directory command, right? We have seen that. I'll show you the touch command. I have shown you the touch command in the previous class as well. Touch command is used to create files, okay? And then there is a cp command. This is the copy command. mv means move command. rm means remove command, okay? This is what we will be exploring now. And remember, not all commands are as simple as just running them. There are certain parameters also that you can use to enhance the command. For example, if I go here and I want to create a folder within a folder, right? For example, I want to create a folder within a folder. Like there are two folders. So for example, I create a folder, mkdir. I already have a test folder. Let me remove that. For example, let me show you the remove command first, okay? Or yeah, let me create one. One second. So if I create a folder called XYZ, and within this folder, right, if I just run this command, it will create it. You can see here, it created the XYZ, okay? But now what I want to do is, if I go into XYZ, and again I want to create something within this, then again I'll have to go see. What I did is I got inside this XYZ, and then now I have to create one more folder within this. I cannot create it directly. If I want to, it won't let me. For example, if I go back, if I do rm xyz, rm means remove command. I want to remove this folder. So enter, and oh, it is not letting me. I'll tell you why. But I remember once here. That's check the it's handled by Ubuntu. Oh, okay. I don't know what was happening. You see, XYZ is gone. The command worked, but I don't know what was going on. Okay, so if I do rm and -r and test there, okay, I don't know what was happening. So that command works, by the way. If you use rm command, it will like remove it. So the problem is, what I wanted to do was, I don't want to create first a folder, then go inside it, then create a folder, then go inside it, then create a folder. I don't want to do that. I want to create all the folders in one go, right? So if I do mkdir and put the folder name, I can only create one folder. But there are multiple parameters in that command. So for example, I want to create a folder within a folder, right? How can I do it? I can use the mkdir command. The command will still remain the same, right? But the only thing that I will change is -p. Is for parent, like create parent folders. So for example, I do test, and I can do XYZ. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a test folder, and within that text folder, I'm creating a folder called XYZ. If I do enter, see, it let me create now. Now if I do ls, and if I go inside the test folder and I do ls now, there it is. See, it got created. But if I try to do it without using a -p, that is the parent parameter. Parent means this will be the parent. Under this parent, you can create multiple childs. So if I define a parent folder, that means I'm telling that there will be a parent folder, and within that parent folder, there will be multiple childs. then it will let me create. But if I try to do without the parent folder, if I don't use -p, if I just do mkdir and there's no p, and I do abc and efg, there no such directory, it is not letting me create. The command is okay, the command is still the same. The only thing is I did not use -p, and if I try to create just one folder with the same command, it will let me create. There it is. See, it let me create abc. So usually if I want to use a command and if I want to enhance it, there are various parameters for a particular command that can enhance it. Not all the commands can be enhanced, but mostly a lot of commands can be enhanced with multiple parameters. Okay, I'll show you those parameters. For example, the first parameter is this. Okay, and then there is one more parameter for this command. And for example, ls list command has ls-lh. Anything with a hyphen is called a parameter. So first is the command, and whatever is in the hyphen is the parameter. For example, I want to remove this folder now. Okay, I want to remove it. Now you see a difference. For example, in ABC is a single directory. If I do ABC, it's a single directory, like there's nothing inside. See, there's nothing. Sorry, if I do ls, there's nothing, it's all blank. Again, if I go back, the same thing in cd command, you use cd command to go in cd and the folder name, right? If I want to go back, like a step back, I can do cd dot dot. It will take me a step back again outside the ABC folder. Enter. You see, I got outside. If I do ls, there it is. I'm outside. And if you remember in test folder, I have one more folder within it because I created with the parent parameter. If I do ls, there should be xyz. There it is. Okay. Now, if I use, like, if I want to remove the command, like remove the folders, sorry, this ABC folder and the test folder, I can use a command called rm. Rm means remove. So if I do rm and I do ABC, enter, it says cannot remove. ABC is a directory, right? If I do ls, it did not remove. It says it is a directory, I cannot remove. Okay. But if I do rm-r, r means recursively remove. So whatever is there doesn't matter, remove it. Okay, and I do ABC, enter, it removed it. So R means, see, R is used for directories because under folders you can have multiple folders of files. Okay, so whenever you're trying to delete a folder or a directory, you will always use -r, otherwise you cannot delete. But if I try to create a file and then delete it, I can do it without R. Let me show you as well. So touch command is something that we use to create a file. So for example, I want to create a file called music.txt, the txt file, it's a text file. So I'm creating a folder called, sorry, file called music.txt, and I enter. So you will see that there's a file called music.txt, and if I run the command rm music.txt, enter, it deleted, because files are not recursive. Like, you do not store anything inside the file. Inside a file, you cannot create files, you cannot create directories, right? It's a file. With the directories, you can store folders or like other things you can do. But in file, you cannot do that, right? So rm command can directly work on files. The only problem here is the particular command, this rm-r command will also work for the file, because r is something that is a parameter that if it was a folder or a file, doesn't matter. Recursively delete it. There is one more thing. Whenever, if you look here, I deleted the folder. How do I know without running the ls command that my folder was deleted? There is no other way. So usually there is one more parameter that you can use with anything. I'll show you that parameter with other things as well, but you can use that particular parameter with those things. So there is a parameter called -v. -v means verbose. Show me whatever you did. Verbose means it will give you the output. For example, I do rm hyphen, let me check what folder I have left. I have test folder there. If I do rm hyphen rv, rv means whatever you do, you remove it recursively, but show me the output as well, whatever you did. And always look at here. I did not get any confirmation. It just gave me that you cannot remove. And when it removed, it did not give me any configuration. I had to go ls and then check if it is there or not. Okay. So if I do rv, and then there's one more parameter called f. F means, don't ask me. Like it may ask you, do you need to delete? You may have to put yes, no, that kind of thing, right? I'm saying do not ask me if you want to delete anything. But this only should be used when you want to totally delete it. You know that there is nothing important. Remove it. Only then you use RVF. F means forcefully remove it. Forcefully. Doesn't matter. Don't even ask me. Remove it. So if I do this thing and if I do ABC and enter, sorry, ABC deleted test, the test folder. There it is. Enter. See what happened. It told me, it gave me what it did. So V is the command that tell me what was happened. So when it deleted, it says I removed the directory this one and then remove this one. So in the first place, it removed the XYZ. Then next, it removed the main test folder. So V command can be used with most of the commands. So when copying, moving, doing anything, V can be used. V means give me the verbose. Whatever you did, tell me what you did. So for example, now I create a folder again. Like right now, there should be nothing. Let me remove and I check. See, there is nothing. If I create a folder now, mkdir abc, there I have a folder. Okay. Now I create a file as well. So I can do touch and maybe, yeah, same thing, music.txt. If I create this. Now what I want to do is I want to move this file within this folder. Like I want to copy this file and put it inside this folder. So in Windows, you can directly do right click and copy, right? In Linux, you cannot do that. So in Linux, you have a command to do that. So usually what I can do is, I can do first of all ls. I have this music file here and I want to put it inside this folder that is called abc. I can use a command cp -rvf. See, why I'm using -rvf is recursively do it. So if there was a multiple file, like it's not just abc. Within abc, you have xyz. Okay, so I would have put in abc/xyz/ then the file name. So recursively means doesn't matter. I will give you the absolute path. Doesn't matter how long that path is, like whatever is within the folder, paste it. V means give me the output. F means forcefully. Again, do not ask me for yes and no, just do it. What am I saying? Like whatever I'm saying to you. So whenever you type rb-rvf, first of all, you put the destination, the target and the destination. For example, I want to copy what? I want to copy music. So I'll just type music into what? I want to paste it into the ABC folder. So first the target, like source, and the destination. This is the source that I want to copy. And where do I want to copy? Inside the ABC folder. Enter. Always remember in Linux, you have something called autocomplete. That is the tab folder. So if you're not sure, most of the times use tab folder. That will give you the accurate path or the accurate name. And if you do enter, it says music.txt is copied within this folder. So if I do ls now, I don't have it. Sorry, I have it, but it is a copy. I'll show you the difference between the copy and the move, but I have it. Like it's not a cut paste, it's a copy paste. Copy paste, it created a copy. So if I go under ABC, ABC was blank earlier, right? We have seen. So if I go and do ls, there it is. Music also exists here. Now, let me remove it. Again, rm command can be used. Enter. And if I check now, there is nothing because I removed it. Okay. If I go back again, so I have music folder again. So what happened is when I did copy, right, it just created a copy of this music folder, music file inside the ABC, right? There is one more command called move. Move is like cut and paste, like remove from here and move it inside this folder. So if I do MV, same concept. Remember, if I do MV and then I do music, like source and the destination, and I want to move it inside the ABC and enter. Okay, R is not used here. It should be, I think, capital R. Okay, there's no. Let me just use hyphen E, like verbose. Give me the verbose. Enter. There. So what it says rename. So why does it say rename? Rename means it is doing a cut and paste. So it renamed this thing and moved it here. So if I do ls, there is no music file here anymore, which I had earlier. The moment I use mv command, it acts like a cut and paste. And this can be used for renaming also. So I'll show you that, like what that rename means. So if I go under EBC, see ABC was blank earlier, right? If I do ls now, there it is. Music.txt is there. Again, let me understand one thing. I'll tell you one thing, okay? Rename means this is not just a cut and paste. Like here, you cannot rename. You cannot copy and paste and rename. Move command can also be used for renaming a file or a folder. Let me give you a demo. I do MV. Remember I told you source and destination? So it's not like you are only copying and pasting from one place to another place. You can rename it also. How? For example, I have the file. I want to rename this file, this music.txt, and rename it to something else. Maybe call it test.txt. Now, like I don't want music.txt, I want to call it text.txt. Now the source will be the same. Like this is the file that I want to rename, but the destination will change now because now I'm not moving it to anywhere. I just want to rename it on the same place, on here only. Okay, I'll just say test.txt there, and I do enter. What happened? If I do ls, I don't have music.txt anymore. I have text.txt. That means what it did, it cut this file, renamed it to text.txt, and pasted it here again. So it's like a cut and paste, but like this can be used for rename also. So it just cut this file, took this file, renamed it to text.txt, and pasted it again on this particular path. You can do this for any path. First rename and then you can move. You cannot do the rename and cut and paste in the same place. You cannot do that. First you need to rename and then you can move it somewhere else. Okay, one operation at a time. If you want to move first and then rename, then move first and then rename, like I did. But if you want to rename and then move, then rename, and then if you want to move it to anywhere else, you can move it. So it works like that. So for example, I want to again take it back to like one step back. I can do MV. Now the name is text, right? And I can put the absolute path. So absolute path is like home and Ubuntu. Enter. And if I do ls, there's nothing. If I go back, again, I should have the txt.test.txt. Hope that much is clear, right? This is the main commands that we use on day-to-day basis for navigating and doing things. Okay. And these are the main commands like mkdir, touch, cp, and you can, sorry, you can just follow this command and like just practice on your own. Okay. So for this, let me just give you one more, like few more things within this thing. So when I was talking about this hidden folders, right? There were some hidden folders. For example, here, if I do ls-lah, there were some hidden folders called .ssh, .bashrc, right? These are very important files, and these files can be used by hackers or can be used by you also for multiple purposes. For example, this .ssh can give you the keys. Keys means we'll be using these keys for authentication purposes. So whenever a machine, for example, I want to connect to that machine, to this SSH machine, it's a Linux machine, right? In Linux, we use something called SSH. It's a protocol that I use to log in, right? So whenever you're using or trying to log into to a Linux machine, you will use the SSH protocol. The protocol is called SSH. Okay, so this particular SSH will have your keys. Keys means usually when you want to connect to someone, right? You want to introduce yourself. So this SSH will hold your introduction. This is called a public key and a private key. It's like your locks on the door. Okay. So public key is what you share. It's like your, you can say your visiting address. Public key is your visiting address that you give to other servers or other places, right? So that particular key, it's like the public key is like your visiting address that you give to other machine. For example, I want to connect to other machine using this particular machine. Okay, I want to log in there. So what I'll do is I'll use this public key, this particular machine's public key. I will share it with the other key, like sorry, with the other machine. Okay, and that particular other machine will share me his public key. So until and unless I accept those keys, it won't let me connect. So it's like you share your visiting card to someone. That particular guy will also give you the visiting card, and until you guys approve yourself, like, oh hey, okay, you're approved, you can come in. There can be multiple criterias. For example, for approval, there is a password. You need to know them, or if you're public, you can like let them in. So it's on you, it's on the machine, but still you need a visiting card to visit me, right? You need to show me that, hey, we met at this particular place. So this SSH is like machine's visiting card. Here you will have the keys. A public key is kind of a visiting card. Private key is like your door. key, your personal home's door key. So all the keys are stored in this SSH folder, and this SSH folder keys are very important. If exploited, it can be used by hackers to get into your machine. Okay, and that is really important. Bash RC is kind of your system configuration kind of thing. Like you can configure environment variables and other things, like your global variables into your machines, into the machines. So these are very sensitive configs that are stored into your Bash RC, your SSH, multiple other things are there, all like different you can say Linux systems, right? But usually these hidden folders are really important, and these can be exploited by the hackers. Because see, for example, let's take an example of SSH that I was talking about. This holds your key to the machine. So if the keys are compromised somehow, mainly your private key. So your private key is like your key for your front door. I can use that key to come into your machine directly. So we don't want these machines, or we don't want these folders or these files to be you can say exploited. We don't want them. So we keep it secure. So that's why these are hidden. That is the first reason why these are hidden, because we don't want anyone to like explore explore this until unless you share that particular thing to connect. Okay, now the really important things, right? How to read the files. For example, I have seen how to create the files, how to like go inside the files, right? Those things, the normal things, like how to see the permission of those files. Now, the very important thing is how to read the files. So there are various processes to read the files, because files are of multiple types. Multiple types means, for example, let me show you an example. Let me go to var and log, because there we have multiple types of files that I can show you as a good example. So if I go here in var and log, and if I do ls, I have auth log, right? If I try to read the file, see, to read a file, you can use something called cat. Cat is a command that can read the file without opening it. Opening means, for example, I want to open a file, I need to open it in an edit mode. For example, I use my notepad, right? I open the notepad, and this is a file. The problem with this thing is I'm not opening it, like I'm not seeing it in a read-only manner. It's open for me to edit. I can edit anything. Okay. So just like this feature is only accessible in Linux, and Mac also gives you that feature within the terminal only. Okay. In GUI, you will never get this feature. It's only for terminal use only. Okay. So cat can open the file without opening it in an edit mode. For example, I just want to read the file without getting inside the file. I can use cat command. So I want to read my syslog. I can do syslog and cat, enter. There, I can read the files. The only problem is, you see, this file is so big. It's so big. There's a lot of data. Some files may have more data than this. Like, it's so much data, and you see what happened. It's so much data that I'm exploring. Like I'm scrolling, and I'm not even reaching to the top because it's so much data. So you can use the cat command to read the data. The only problem with the data is so much that you cannot read it properly. So in that case, use something called a less command. Less means show me a scrollable kind of data. Like don't show me everything in one place. Maybe show it in a scrollable format. So for example, if I run the same syslog command in this manner using the less command, and I do paste, then what is happening is when I scroll, it is letting me scroll now. And smooth. See, it's not hanging. It's smooth. I can read everything. So less can let you scroll and read the data into a scrollable manner. Cat cannot do that. Cat will like start getting glitchy. If the data is too much, it will start getting glitchy and like have multiple problems. Okay. The only problem with less command is you can scroll, but to come out, you will have to type Q command. Q means like quit. Your control C will not work here. Control C is usually used to like come out of whatever you're stuck with in Linux terminal. But here you will use Q. Q is for quit. Enter, and then you just type Q and it will take you out. Okay. So less is just used to like read the data. If it is very long data in a very scrollable manner, you can scroll the data. But For example, I want to only see the recent data, like recent 20 logs or recent 10 logs, whatever, my recent logs only. Okay. So I can use something called a head command. Head command will give me recent -20 means last 20 lines. So if I do, sorry, top 20 lines or the top, like I don't want to read the last, but first 20 lines. I want to read the first 20 lines of the file. So for example, I use the same command and I just use syslog because in auth, I don't think I have that much data. So I use syslog and I do syslog enter. So here, this is my top 20 lines of this syslog. Top 20. Like when I open the file, these are the top 20 lines. Now, if I want to read the last 20 lines, I will use tail. So head means give me the top 20. Tail means give me the last 20. So if I do this, and if I go back and paste, let me again change it to syslog. Yeah, these are my last 20 lines. Yeah, these are my last 20 lines. You see, this is the command that I have. This is my last 20 lines. So same command can be used for anything. I want to use it for auth log. I can do this thing. Auth.log. There. Last 50 lines. Just like this, I can do 10, 20. You just have to change the parameter. This is also something of a parameter. If I do last 5, this see enter. These are last 5 lines for my auth log. So like this, you can just check any file without like getting stuck with all that data. Okay. And then -f. This I just used when I was showing you the Apache log. -f will give you live data in the live runtime. For example, if I when I was running that, if you remember, and you guys were accessing the website, I was seeing the data live. Whatever is happening, I can see it live. Okay, so -f is used for live data. Like I want to see the data live, I can just run it and see it did not stop. It's still running. The command is still running because whatever the user will do, it can show you. So this is mostly used when you want to check, for example, what is going on right now. For example, your firewall, something is behaving wrong. You want to test it. You just put it in this -f mode. This tail -f and put the name. So it will show you the last logs and the last latest logs in real time. These are real time logs. That's what -f is used for. I hope this much is clear. This is for live file monitoring. Okay. And then the last command, not the last kind of, like we have other commands, but mostly the two important commands that we will be working with. And that's like really important. Okay. So for example, let me create a file called touch. Like, let me create a file. Not here, it will not let me. Let me go back to home and Ubuntu. And let me create a file here. If I do touch and ABC, enter. So what happened is it let me create a file, right? But the problem is if I read the file, oh, I already have ABC. Okay. Touch. Let me use ubuntu.exe. Yeah, okay, I have it. So if I open it, ubuntu.txt, there's nothing, right? Now I want to store something, like I want to store some data inside this. I want to write something. There are multiple, you can say, ways. For example, I don't want to edit the file. I don't want to go inside the file, but I still want to check something. Like I want to check, I want to edit something, or I want to update inside, like something inside this file. I can use something called an echo command. Echo means whatever I say, give me the output of that echo command. For example, I say, hi, this is test. Or enter. There. I saw whatever I write here, echo will like give me. Echo means give me like whatever I'm saying, just return me back. Okay. But I can use echo command to edit my files or edit my like whatever file I'm using, right? So if I use this command, this means whatever I'm saying, whatever will be the output and whatever I put inside this. So it's not just for this command. Whatever command I run, and if I use this will output that thing or store that thing within my particular given file. So I want to store it into the Ubuntu. So if I enter and if I do cat and I read the Ubuntu file again, there, see what is inside the Ubuntu file. Hi, this is test. So whatever I encode, if I use this particular command that is a greater than symbol, it will add to my file. Now I say something else. I use the same command. I just say something else. Now, hi, this is Ubuntu. I just change it to hi, this is Ubuntu and enter. Again, if I check, see what happened. It says hi, this is Ubuntu. So what happened is it overwrites my data. Whatever is inside this, it overwrites it. Okay. But if I use this particular command, which double brackets, this thing, it will append. Append means, let me change it to test. It will add upon that. It will not overwrite. See, earlier it was overwriting. Earlier it was test and I overwritten it to Ubuntu. Now if I check again, there are two of them now. So if you use double brackets, greater than brackets, right? It will append, it will add to your existing content, right? But if you use a single bracket, it will overwrite your existing content. So always remember to use it properly. Single means it will overwrite whatever files content is there with your current output. Double quotes means it will add to the existing data. So your file data will not be removed, but it will add to the existing data. Okay, that is what this thing means. Appends. Appends means it will add. This means overwrite. Okay, it will overwrite. Then you have some commands called grep, find, wc, short, and unique. Let me tell you, this is the very important command, like grep. Grep will help you to find and search things. For example, if I go to user and bin, remember this folder, user bin. If I want to check the cd command, for example, I do ls. There is so much files, I cannot even find cd. Like, where is cd? I need to like go and find it, and I don't know if I will find it or not. It's so tough to find, right? So what I can do, I can just do ls, like whatever command I want to use, and then I'll use a pipe sign. Pipe sign means I'm continuing to this particular command. And what am I saying? I'm saying grep. Grep means grab. It's like grab what I want. So I want the cd command. Enter. It will automatically find whatever like corrects to the cd command will come up here. For example, I want to say mkdir. It will grab. So there are two mkdir folders with this mkdir name. Like anything that is matching to your query, grab or grab that and show me. So it says there are two folders. Sorry, there are two files with this name. One is called GNU mkdir and one is called mkdir. So it is listing me, but only listing what I want. So grep is to specify your search or narrow down your search and give you the exact content from that whole vast, you can say, resource or data. You can use grep, and grep can be used for multiple things. For example, I again go back to home and Ubuntu. Remember, I just created a file called test dot or ubuntu.txt, right? If I do cat and if I do ubuntu.txt, there what do I have? I have hi, this is Ubuntu, and hi, this is test. Now I don't want to use Ubuntu. Like, there is a lot of data there, a lot of data. I want to just imagine, like, obviously there is just two lines, but just imagine maybe there's a lot of data, right? And I only want to fetch the data that says test inside it. So what I can do, I can just do the same command cat, but I'll use grep again. I just use grep and I just what test and enter. There it is. What it is showing now, it is just showing me hi, this is test, because test was the matching factor or the matching criteria. And it's not just for one thing. Wherever it sees test, it will output that particular path or particular line. So it's just to narrow down your search for that particular thing or whatever particular thing is that. You can use it to narrow down. For example, here it says you're looking for sudo. So it will only show you all the sudo commands. Okay. So those things you can use. And then there's a folder, then there is a command called find. Find can help you find, like, it's like the search bar. For example, you go to Windows and you see the search. So this is also the find. So find is also kind of same. So for example, if I go here, if I copy this command, maybe let's go back. Why am I opening this thing again? If I paste and I enter this, see what happens is it will give me all the files with this log name. because what I did, I just said file within this particular path, because source, this is my source, and this is my destination. Like, what do I want? I want anything with this name. And what is the name? Star.log. Star means anything. I doesn't care what the name is. It's like it's star, but only give me the files or folders with this name, that is .log in the ending. So if you see, there is .log, .log, .log. Doesn't matter what the name is, but in the end it should be a .log. So find me all the files or folders or anything that starts with anything and ends with .log. So it gave me. Somewhere there is permission denied because I don't have permission, but still it gave me all that thing. So find command can be used in that, right? Sort command, again, it can be used to sort out repetitive lines. I would like you guys to try this thing, right? Because it's not that tough. You can just try it. But these commands are used to narrow down your search for for your files, folders, or anything within this particular PC that you are looking for. Okay, you can use these commands to like go through. Okay, so Stanley, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So you can ask them, like they can practice this thing, right? Whatever is there. And then whenever they find any error, they can just note it down, maybe in this chat or anywhere, and then we can, in the next class, we can start with that thing first, like the doubts, and then we can move on with the other thing.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Hope you guys understood. Just go through it. You will start understanding. So until you don't work on this, until you don't practice this, you won't understand a thing. So if you have any doubts, just note it down, and either you can share it to Stan, you can share it to me, you can put it to the chat or anywhere. We'll start with that.
Okay, Sim, thank you very much. So this is it for today's class. So what you guys are required to do is that you need to practice, try to install, I think from next class, I'll walk you through how to install this, how to provision for these services where you can try these commands. You can either install Kali Linux. I think I will share a file with you showing you step by step how to install Kali Linux, where you can practice these commands and see how they actually work. They're not too difficult, but these are the foundation commands that you need. And trust me, if you master these commands, your life is going to be too easy within the terminal. Too easy.
Yeah, these are the basics that you will use to navigate to the terminal, because if you don't understand this, you won't be able to do anything. These are the baby steps, you can say.
Exactly. So you guys, your job is to try to go to this command, try to master the command. You might not memorize them, but at least know what they do and try to recognize them in a way that if you type them, you see them you see them in the terminal, you will recognize which particular action that they are performing as a user. So you guys just have to practice, and we'll try to install this. If you don't have access to the office, we'll try to install this Linux VM on your personal PCs so that you can actually gain hands-on with them. Then also, let's say I think within this week or before the end of this week, we'll try to provision for you guys for you guys personal accounts when it comes to your AWS accounts, where you can actually have live practice sessions and you can practice on your own on this server. So we start to introduce you with how to provision for the EC2 instance and how to use them, try these commands that he's been trying. Like he's trying these commands now on a live instance, a live AWS EC2 instance that he has provisioned for from within his account. So when we get into identity access management, that's IAM for on AWS, you will see how to provision for an account, how to create a root user, and how to create extra users where you can use them, where you can use them to access your main account, so that you can practice to the end of the course. So I think I know today's packed. There is a lot of code, a lot of commands. When you guys are seeing command, I know you guys have it's a little bit tedious.
Yeah. Once you guys log into the terminal, you will start learning them as soon as possible, because you won't be able to move forward without those commands, without knowing those commands. Like you can't even move a single step until you know them. So you will start learning by that time. But I would recommend you to like log into the terminal and just start doing something, at least anything. Just follow this thing. You will start understanding those things.
Yeah, and a good thing is that these commands are not too many. If you look at them, they feel like it's a lot. It's not a lot. Some commands they do the same thing that other commands just do, maybe in a more
they will be
way.
repetitive.
Yeah, so they're just basic commands, but these commands, if you master these commands, trust me, your life is going to be way easy when it comes to walking through Linux or navigating file systems, or even in your career as a cybersecurity expert. You have enormous opportunities if you master your command line very well. You master your commands well.
And the best part is these commands also work on you can say PowerShells also. So for example, for the LS, they are C, they work. So you will be like good with all the terminals on this planet. All of them works on the same principle.
Exactly. So once you master this Linux command, you can work with PowerShell, you can work with macOS, you can work with this Linux Ubuntu, you can work with all of the key Linux systems that you want to use. So it makes you proficient to, I think, almost about 5 or 6 systems in OS when it comes to Linux. So you just try to practice. So what we will do I think by the end of this week is that we'll provision for your cloud accounts where you guys can actually go on live practice. You can provision for the same service that he's using now for the EC2 instance, because you guys will be using them moving forward with the course. You will try to log into, try to perform exercises, and try to do stuff that, or your tasks that will be coming up. You need to do them on actually on the cloud using your cloud service account. So you guys have to just practice. Make sure you go over the video, watch the video, watch it again, because at the end of today, maybe by tomorrow, you guys will have the video up on the elements. Go there, watch it, learn it, practice, and see what they do. At least take a piece of paper, write the command in full, then write what they do, write the command in full, write the list of the commands. Then you can now go open your Word document or your notepad, type these commands with your hands and see how you make your hands busy a little bit, make your hands flexible. So because the more you're typing them, the more flexible they become in your brain. So that when you start provisioning for your cloud account, for your EC2 instances on AWS, you don't need to even type these commands. You just copy and paste. But you know what they actually do. You know what each command is intended for. So you just copy and paste, copy and paste. You don't need to type them again. So
once you start practicing, you don't even have to memorize it, because it will be like your back of your hand. Like you just start typing. You won't even like remember that, okay, I have to see the sheet. But you still have to like just go through it once. Like if you have done it like 5-6 times, you will start remembering very easy, very easy.
So yeah. So I don't know if anyone has any questions to ask. Madam Ekane, are you? I don't know if you're there.
I'm here. I'm here, sir.
Is it getting is it getting difficult?
I will not say difficult. We are there. We are already in the process. But to be honest, as he was talking fast and at the same time running all those commands, I know it was just something like we're watching a movie. But with time, as you just said, we'll go back through the. Yeah, actually, I mean, maybe it's me, maybe others actually got it from A to Z. So I think what I'll do after this is to go back once the video will be downloaded or uploaded, I'll download it, and then because I've been downloading my videos, so I go through them. And even today, I tried working on the course, on the assignment, even this Linux, I tried to install it today. So I try to do my own personal best to understand it. So I think it's a gradual process. We're going to learn someday. We're going to become experts someday, like you people.
Yeah, you will. And also, sorry for me interrupting, right? If you think my pace is too fast, you can always let me know. Okay, I can bring it down a little bit. So like according
it's not even about you being fast. It's the way the think the commands were running. It is a fast process. It's and that. So
because it's a day-to-day thing for us, right? So we don't like put a lot of thinking into those things.
So, Madam Ekane, don't worry. By the end of this course, you know all these commands. And trust me,
Yeah.
when you start
And you two will
practicing,
be doing with that pace.
yeah. So when you start practicing, you already know. Like, remember now you can now you can do a ping command, right? From your own
Yes.
computer, from your own PC. Yeah. So this is how these things are. If you just look at them, you need to just try them on your own. If you master them on your own, you try them on your own. You just give it, say, 2 3 trials. You become proficient.
Yeah.
The moment you see the command, you already know that, oh, this one is to do this one is to do this. So just
Yeah.
practice, practice, practice,
Exactly.
and
Just to know
never give
what
up.
each command is, the function of each
Yeah.
command.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So practice, and the grammar is very, very easy. So he's trying to explain it deeper. And if you look at your notes, it gives every details. Every command has
Yeah.
every command has an explanation. Every command has an explanation. So if you
Yeah.
just read through your notes, you don't have any problem.
Yeah.
You don't have any
Thank
problem.
you.
Yeah. So then from time to time, I also try to remediate and see how I can come in, and maybe we go through them again, maybe in another language, another way, so that you understand better. You understand?
Yes. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
No, you're welcome, Madam Kana. So I think if if we don't have if there's no other person to know any other questions for us to answer, I think
Everyone
that will
can go through the video and then they can note down their own questions, right? And then we can take them. Like
yeah.
we can take like do a 15-minute session. And in the start, when we start, we can take the questions, we can answer them, we can solve the doubts, and then we can continue with the class.
Okay.
Yeah,
Leo,
Leo,
you have
you
a question?
wants to.
Okay.
I just wanted to find out if we have these notes that he was using to explain everything, if we have access to them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, Leo, this note, right?
Yeah.
These notes are instructor's note. You have these notes in a detailed format when you look at your handbook. Go to your week 3, right? The
Yeah.
notes are in your week 3, they are even more detailed than this. So
Okay.
in your week 3, they have explanations for these notes even more deeper. When you go to week 3, right? You download your notes, right? On week 3. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Go to week 3, and when you download your notes on week 3, your notes are even more. Let me share my screen so that you see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because I don't need that much in detail. You can.
Yeah. So you don't. He doesn't need that much details. You have your notes are even way detailed, so you don't have any problem when you go to your. This is your student handbook. If you go to week 3, what we just covered, you will see that all these Linux commands are there, even detailed. Look at it. Are you seeing?
Okay, so yeah, I already have this. Okay. Yes, sir.
Yes. So they are even detailed there, and it goes line by line, class by class. It gives you all your instructions in a detailed manner. What this command will do. If you run this command, this is what you achieve. So you just go to your notes. Then if you want these slides, I can still give you this. I will give you guys these slides, but I want you guys not to be lazy, because the slides are a little bit summarized. You understand? So
Yes,
I don't
sir.
want you to be lazy. I want you to go to the handbook where you have your uh, detailed notes where you can read what these commands are. So because on your notes, every command has a detailed explanation. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's it. So I think that's all for this class. There's not so much for us to discuss. I think if you guys have any question, you can take down your questions by the start of next class. We can start with your questions, answer your questions before we move on. You understand?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, because then you guys will have time also to practice, and once you practice, you will always get into troubles or like troubleshootings, right? So once you have those problems, you can just note it down, and then once we like in the next class when we will start, first we will go through your problems, and then we will start with the class. Okay? Yeah, so that everyone will have like ample amount of time to put their heads into these commands and like learn something. And if they are like getting stuck into something, then we can use it for them.
Theophile, are you understanding?
Yes, sir. I'll not totally say I'm understanding, but I'll just get familiar. I'll just try to read more and
Practice.
yes, and practice. Yes, and
Yeah.
I'm mashing some commands present. So with time,
Yeah, practice. If you have questions, if you have difficulties, you ask, you write them down. And by the start of next class, we'll go through them. Leo, you want to?
Thank you, sir.
I
So I wanted to also find out if having a Mac wouldn't be a problem with getting the Linux.
No.
Okay.
Is you can run all these
Mac
commands on the
also
Mac.
works on the same thing, by the way. You can run
Yeah.
those
Okay.
commands.
Yes, sir. You didn't mention. All right.
So you can run. You can run.
Donald, what about you? Are you okay? Donald, is he there? Donald, maybe he's out of his.
Stepped out.
Yeah, maybe he stepped out. He was just leaving the thing on. So, okay, so that'll be the end of the class. So you guys just have time so that you can refresh, start to reconnect. Then I'll upload the videos today. By the end of tomorrow, you guys should, if you want to rewatch, you watch. Any difficulties, take them down. By Wednesday, before we kick off the next class, we'll answer the questions or any difficulties. From now henceforth, when you miss any class, it's going to be difficult to catch up.
Yeah.
So I'll advise you guys. Yeah. I'll advise
The
you
only
not to miss any
hardship will
class.
be in your start only. Once you get the basics, right? It will be very easy for the future classes. It will be really easy. Everything is not that hard. It's just the basics that you have to focus on. So if your basics are clear, everything is well and good. You don't need to worry about that much.
Yeah. So these are the bases. I will insist. These Linux commands that you've learned, these are the foundation. You apply them everywhere. Every system you log into, these are the commands that you use. So the moment you master these commands, your life is going to be very easy. Madam Mechanic, take it seriously. These commands take them, master them, know them by heart. The moment you know these commands, your life is going to be so easy. You not believe that it's that cybersecurity that people are talking about. Yeah.
It's like you're starting, like when you start to walk, right? It's very difficult in the start, right? Because as a child, it's very problematic once you start learning the basics of walking. But once you learn walking, running is not a very big problem. Right?
That's true.
It's very easy. So it's kind of like that only.
Okay.
Yeah. Hope you guys do the practice and then we'll meet back again.
Yeah, we'll connect again. So you guys have a good rest of your days. We'll connect on Wednesday. Any notes? Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
All right, so.